What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here with College Admission Seekers. Welcome back to the free training. Today's training is going to be the top 5 activities your student can start this fall term. It is about mid-September right now. Students are going back to school right now. And, right, now is a good time to start thinking about activities, right? So your part of your classes are getting kind of shaped up. You made some last minute adjustments there. Now we got to make sure our activities are good too. So today we're going to do a really awesome training for you guys on the top 5 activities that your child can start this fall term. And we even gave you some step-by-step, some how-tos in this training as well. So by the end of this call, we'll be sharing at least 5 activities your child can be doing this fall. We're going to break them down step by step and also give you some freebies to go to leave you on your way. Really quick, if you're joining us on Zoom or on Facebook right now, go ahead and say hi in the chat. Let me know what grade your child's in. Are you a 12th grader? Drop a number 12. Are you 11th grader? 11. 10th grader? Drop a 10. 9th grader? Drop a 9. For our middle school families, drop a 6, 7, or 8. If you're one of our community college folks, drop a double C. Double C right there in the chat. Running through here, we have a nice mix. Thank you, everyone. Got some sophomores, some seniors, 11th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders, 6th grader as well too. Over here on Facebook, we got some folks joining us there as well. Thank you. All right, so if it's our very first time meeting, by the way, really quick, if it's your first call with us ever, go ahead and drop a number 1 in the chat. If it's your very first time joining us live on this call, drop a number 1 in the chat. And if you've been here once or twice or thrice, go ahead and drop a number 2. Our veterans who have been here many, many times, drop a 2 in the chat. We got a lot of first timers. Love it as well. And there you go, our number 2s who are coming, who's been here with us for a while as well too. So if it's a very first time meeting, we help our families get into their top choice colleges. If you're watching this live from our Facebook, this is our UC Admission Seekers Facebook group. So you can kind of see a lot of our students get into a lot of the UC schools, the Berkeleys, the LAs, those, and also private schools as well too. You can see one of our students got into LMU, another student got into Emory, right? Students that get into all these amazing schools. Here you can see here USC, a BSMD program in the middle. Caltech, one of our students last year got into Caltech. Another student got into Rice. Early decision. Any of our seniors are here. The early action, early decision apps are right around the corner. So best of luck to you guys on that round here. You guys kind of see here, Berkeley, tons and tons of schools, Chapman, tons of colleges that we've been helping our students get into. If it's our first time, my name is Coach Tony, one of your hosts for today's training. Myself actually was a former UC Berkeley student, and then I became a reader at Berkeley. So I helped read the apps behind the scenes, read over 20,000 applications there, right? Knew what yes looked like, knows what no looks like. And from since then, the goal of this group is to teach you guys what that is, right? What the yes students are doing, what the no students are doing as well. So that's kind of me, but it's not just me on this training call. I invited one of our top advisors, a lot of our families. If you booked a call, chat with us, you probably talk to him. And again, we've heard so many positive comments about how awesome he is at advising. He's actually one of our coaches inside our program as well too. I'm gonna go ahead and let my partner, Coach Victor, introduce himself as well too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Coach Victor, and I see some familiar names, so amazing to be able to hear from you and see you again. For those who don't know me, I'm Coach Victor. I actually worked in admissions with Coach Tony, where I worked in the undergraduate office and also the graduate school office. I did actually teach a course too about how to get into graduate school at Berkeley, and also as a fun fact, I did go to Berkeley, especially on a full ride as well. And the point of activities and sharing these activities for you about what is it that you do prepare is because we want you to be able to go to school without having to pay a dime, ideally, right? And so your activities are going to be super important for that because your activities demonstrate what is it that you offer to this university and why should they invest into you. So hoping to share some of those strategies about how I was able to get a full ride myself, and hopefully that can be able to benefit you as well.
Awesome. Yeah, again, like Coach Victor said, we go way back. This is a young Coach Victor, young Coach Tony, back in the day. We've known each other for a very, very long time. And all of us here at College Mission, our mission is pretty simple. Our goal is to level the playing field to make college admission accessible to everyone, right? So whether it's your first call with us or your 50th call, you see in these trainings, we hold nothing back. So if you guys are ready to get started, go ahead in the chat, drop a number 1. If you're ready for us to get started, drop a number 1. Those who joined a little early, you kind of heard us say, we have over 130 slides, 130 slides for you guys here today. So definitely, we're going to talk really fast, which means you need to listen faster. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started today. Top 5 activities your student can start this fall term. Number 1, right? Kicking us off the gate, volunteering and community service. So first off, right? Do we even need to volunteer or do community service? In the chat, let me know. You guys see, I like to be interactive. It's kind of boring talking to a monitor all day long. Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Do we need to do volunteering? Do we need to do community service, right? We got some yeses coming in. We got some, one no coming in, right? Yeah, boom, lot of yeses, right? The answer is no. You do not need volunteering. Again, unless your school requires it. Some of your school does require this. However, did you know that you don't actually need it as well too? Again, there's no school that says you need X hours of community service, right? There might be one random private school out there that does require, but for the most part, UCs, there's no requirement for any community service, right? However, do you know why we recommend it so hard, right? We recommend it as an activity to have, because if you look at the UC's core values, I bet you none of you guys know about UC's core values. Look it up, Google UC core values. These are the UC's core values: accountability, collaboration, inclusion and equity, excellence, innovation, integrity, and public impact. This is what they do and they strive to do in their schools, which means they're looking for students that embody all of these values as well too. Because again, why would you want to take a student that doesn't embody what you value in? But if you look at this list, when you read through this list right here, you notice, when I'm volunteering or doing community service, I am making a public impact. I'm helping others around me, right? Typically, a lot of your volunteering efforts are helping other people. When you're doing volunteer community service, you're usually working with others, right? You're working with other teams, in groups. You're helping groups of people in a team effort. You're collaborating with others, right? When you're volunteering, what you're trying to do is to make the world a little more inclusive. Equity, right? Again, you're volunteering usually for free because they couldn't afford it, right? So the goal is to help them out the best they can. So volunteering community service is an activity that hits most, if not all, of the UC core values, which is why we like it so much, right? So for those of you really quick in the chat, right? Is anyone need community service? Say yes. If you guys have 0 community service right now, maybe a lot of parents on this call. So if your child, right, a child doesn't have it, say yes as well. Here, we can give you guys some tips. There you go. A few yeses coming in. Thank you, everyone, right? So how do you get started? So let me give you guys 2 pathways, right? Pathway number 1 is the traditional way to think about this, and I'm gonna give you a more creative way. You let me know which one you like better, okay? The traditional way, let's find a high school service organization that just allows you to participate in various volunteering organizations. First one is Key Club. That's probably one of the most biggest ones of all, right? Key Club at your school, that's all they do. Basically, they organize volunteering events on the weekends. Another big popular one is National Honor Society, NHS. Not to be confused with NSHSS, right? The one with more S's, right? That one is something else completely. That one costs money to be part of. We have our thoughts about that. Different talk, different day. But this is just the NHS, 3 letters, right? National Honor Society, same thing. Their whole goal is to connect you with volunteering opportunities. Another one's Interact. You'll notice that schools with Key Club don't have Interact, vice versa. Schools with Interact don't have Key Club. These are kind of interchangeable, right? If you guys kind of take a step back, for adults, for parents who are involved in volunteering. Like I'm involved in Kiwanis. Kiwanis is the adult version of Key Club. The adult version of Interact is called Rotaract, right? So that's kind of how it's organized as well too. There's actually a middle school version of it as well too. So tons of ways to give back and service there. A lot of you guys, there's Red Cross, a lot of you guys in the medical field, right? There's a Red Cross club at your school that does also help with volunteer organizations. There's something called Best Buddies. It's a big national one where they pair you up as a mentoring relationship there, right? The other angle that I want to have you guys consider is non-traditional ones, right? Again, a lot of parents always ask Coach Tony, Coach Victor, how do we stand out? Right? How do we stand out? And I'm like, just stop doing what other people are doing. When you're doing what other people are doing, you're just repeating what they're doing. How do you expect to stand out, be different if you're doing the same thing? So Coach Victor and I just brainstormed a few different ideas like, hey, have you considered these options instead, right? So one of the online thing is, have you considered doing a virtual tutoring or mentorship, right? You know how many students come to us with like, tutoring, mentoring as well too. We see that all day long. Every student does that now. What if we can crack the code a little bit, right, and do it online, right? That allows you to be super accessible to a lot more students too, right? Something else is creating content creation for nonprofits, right? I bet you in the chat, parents, let me know if your kids are on their phone too much. Parents, let me know if your child is on their phone way more than they should. Drop a yes in the chat. Oh, there we go. This one is definitely the one, right? So lots of yeses here as well. Again, they're probably scrolling TikTok. They're probably scrolling Instagram, Snap, all these other social media platforms. So again, they are actually very good at it, right? That's why, again, when you were looking for people who are like, hey, who's good at social media? The students who get involved in it so much, they are naturally very good at it. So why don't you use that and help nonprofits, again, who can't afford a budget to hire someone exclusively for marketing? You can help them with that. And again, because they're a nonprofit, they can help you, give you the volunteering hours that way as well too. Another option way is crowdsourcing and virtual advocacy, right? Supporting a group. Again, you don't have to be the one standing up and or together. You can participate in these types of efforts too, right? You can translate, but really quick. Anyone here speak a different language, right? Say yup, Y-U-P, yup. If your child speaks a different language, right? Some of you guys speak English and Spanish. Some of you speak English, Tagalog, right? Mandarin, Indian, right? A lot of these languages as well too, right? What they can translate and subtitle, again, nonprofits. Again, our goal is to spread awareness out. What if you volunteer your time to help them with that? Again, we have some students I talked to this past month that were interested in linguistics, right? Interested in the humanities. Really awesome way to intertwine these two things here, right? Helping out with fundraising campaigns and crowdfunding. Again, you don't need to be like physically selling things in person. You can do things on an online capacity as well. One really cool one that one of our students is actually doing is volunteering with a crisis text hotline as well too. This does have an age requirement, by the way, so you need to be a certain age to do it, but the student is having a blast and they're letting us know like, hey, this is super cool, very empowering as well too, right? Another one, developing and running workshops. If your student's good at something, a lot of our students are really good, for example, coding. A lot of kids are really good robotics. A lot of our kids are really good speech and debate. They can create a virtual workshop and teach others the same thing. Okay, so another one, virtual community outreach and support, same thing. You can see a lot of these ideas are actually in-person things that you have probably seen, but we're throwing the virtualness to it. We're making it online. That makes it easier to deliver from the student's point of view, and it's easier for them to get involved in different things. And I bet you most students are not looking to this arena yet. And that's going to be the big key word. Those who have been following me for years, you guys know I've been predicting this, that the world's going to be shifting online very soon. And those who are on the ride along with us for the adventure, you'll see us kind of play it out. Again, all these are really good because you have early movers advantage. You're doing it first before everyone else is doing it. So again, definitely take advantage of it before, again, everyone starts seeing about this and start doing it as well too. Another one, they're good at stuff. They're creating material for others to use as well. Okay. Number 2 on the list, I'm going to set off to Coach Victor.
All right. So the next piece is major specific activities. The reason why we think this is something effective is because admissions office, they're going to be asking the question of, oh, that is not going to the, okay, why should we accept you into this particular major, right? If you're applying to business, if you're applying to a pre-med major, if you're applying to engineering, we want to know, right? Why is this major a good fit for you? And what are some examples on your activities or on your resume that shows for this? So in the chat real quick, what are some good examples of things that you could do that are aligned to your major that would be good to demonstrate on the activity section? Any ideas about what are some good things that you could put down? Internships, great. Anything else? Volunteering, awesome. Yes, and work as well. So these are all great examples, right? The thing that we want to know about, right, is what are you doing to expose yourself to this particular major so that you know for certain that this is what you want to apply into. So going into the different levels of major-based activities, many people jump all the way to level 4, which is internships, right? Obviously, everyone's always looking for internships, but there's still these levels of different types of major-based activities that are still important that you shouldn't leave out. Especially for those who are in middle school right now or parents of middle school. Level 1 foundational immersions are going to be very important to be able to expose your child on what to do. If you ask your child and get confused about what they want to do in the future, it's because they haven't been exposed enough. So level 1 is one of the important things that we're going to be covering in terms of what are some ways that you can expose them right now to see if they're interested in it. And level 2 goes into shadowing, then projects, then internships. We're going to go through each one of those. So going into the foundational immersion. So what this actually looks like is exposing them to museums, fairs, events, and summer programs. This isn't necessarily to develop skills or experiences just yet. It's just really to help answer the question, hey, are you interested in this at all or not, right? When it comes to especially students who don't know what they want to do in the future or don't know what they want to major in, foundational immersions will help them be able to identify that. But what's important is that when they go to that museum, go to that fair event or summer program, you always want to make sure that you reflect it with them. What did you find interesting about this particular event? Why was it interesting to you? By having those conversations with them, that's going to enable them to understand and identify what particular interest that they want to potentially major in. And it's totally okay, right? If you switch your majors down the line, but at least let's give them a direction about what is it that they might look into. So that's why the foundational immersions are really important. So what are some examples of that? So if you are considering engineering, right, one of the things that you can go to is STEM exhibits or maker events and just trying to find any local events where that might be available. Engineering workshops or camps and also building simple machines. These things can also happen at home. It doesn't necessarily need to happen at a particular event. You can create this at home. I know there's like some engineering exposure boxes or kits that you can order and they ship it like once every month. I forgot what it's called. But I've seen a lot of parents expose their students to engineering by purchasing those kits, and that will allows them to start building something. Even with Legos, for example, is a way of exposure as well. Next is computer science, coding boot camps for beginners, game development exploration, and tech museum visits. Any of these are good examples of ways to just get the students to be like, hey, I might actually find this interesting. And if they find it boring, then great, that's good information. If they don't like any of the things that you're exposing to them at this level, then that's a great sign that that's not what they should major in, because you don't want them to major into something they don't like. Let's go into health. That looks like health science exhibits, community health talks, or first aid or CPR classes. Just by putting yourself out there in terms of the health field and trying to get volunteering experience here would be very beneficial as well. And lastly, for business, entrepreneurship workshops, financial literacy programs, small business tours, just being able to go to different businesses and just learn about the business itself can be very influential. So again, the whole point of this isn't necessarily so that they can write it down on their resume or write it down as an activity. What's more important is that this will help them understand what kind of internship or project they want to do next. So let's go on to the level 2 of shadowing, asking professionals in the field to learn more about their job. The level 2 is important because a lot of students, right, they might not exactly know what the career fields actually look like. They don't know what it's like to be majoring in, like, let's say, mechanical engineering and actually know what's it actually going to be used for. So the whole point of shadowing, right, is to be able to get them the exposure, what's it like to be in the shoes of certain occupations. So if you're in engineering or interested in engineering, do you have any friends or family that you can ask to be able to shadow them on their job? So for a civil engineer, it might be at a construction site, mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant, or aerospace engineer at the aviation firm. Of course, right? It might seem like it's a difficult thing to do in order to get shadowing experience, but in reality, there's very low risk to it if all you're doing is watching. So don't try to aim for like the large companies to shadow. You want to aim for like the small startups, small companies, small clinics, because those are more likely going to say yes to you. Just by shadowing, we'll be able to give you better exposure and understanding if this is something you actually want to do. The second for computer science, software developer at a tech company, a lot of that is remote. You can probably be able to observe them remotely on Zoom while they share screen and they're coding. You'll be able to see that. A data analyst at a financial institution, or even cybersecurity specialist. Going on to health, shadowing a nurse, a physical therapist, or general practitioner. A lot of folks are asking, like, how do you get shadowing experience or volunteering experience at a hospital? Well, the thing is, you don't necessarily need to start at a large hospital like a Kaiser or anything of that sort. Go to your local mom and pops like small clinic. Try to see if there's anything that you can do to ask them, just calling them straight up and being like, hey, I'm a student that's very interested in the medical field and I would love to be able to learn more. Is it possible that I just come in just to be able to observe? So again, like by being able to put yourself out there and take an initiative, you'll be surprised that a lot of people might say yes, right? And even if they say no, well, that's at least one shot or one try, right? You miss all the shots that you don't try. So that's one of the things that you want to put yourself out there. And then for business, of course, you can be able to shadow other people who do their jobs, such as a marketing manager, an accountant, or other entrepreneurs. So just being able to see who's doing business, who's doing engineering, or it doesn't matter which field it is. Just being able to explore what they're doing on their job will help you tremendously to understand that. So going on to level 3 is projects. And in the next one, we're going to talk about projects a bit more. But this is about applying skills and experiences that are applicable to the workplace or to the major. So this is something that we typically talk about as the personal project that you can do at your own time or with friends or with family. And what this might look like for some folks, for an engineer, designing and building a model bridge or designing or building pretty much almost anything really, whatever that interests you, whatever is like a problem that you could be able to solve for. Create a solar powered device or 3D print a prototype for a mechanical part. All of this is great projects. And the thing that I want to emphasize is that you're trying to solve for a problem. A project, right, by definition, has a beginning and an end. What is the end product that you're trying to get to? And it's not just, I want to create some type of project that shows that I've gained a lot of skills and experiences in this particular field. But no, you actually solved for something in your community, in a project, or in some type of interest that you have. So before you even think about what are all the things I could do, think about what's the problem that I want to solve for. The second part for computer science is to develop a mobile app, build a personal website, or create machine learning model. So I've actually reviewed a few personal statements already for seniors who are applying right now, and some of them have built a mobile app, which is really cool. And that really shows that they have taken interest or taken initiative to create something that no one has created before. And just the act of doing it is doing a lot more than any other like student that's applying into it that says, I want to study computer science, but I have no exposure to it whatsoever. So by having a project, something that you worked on that shows that skill, will tell me as an admissions reviewer that this person knows and wants this particular major. So try to think about what are the specific skill sets that are used for that major and how can you practice that within a project. The third thing is for health, researching and presenting on public health issues, designing a health promotion campaign, creating a first aid training kit. This can happen whether that's at your local school or maybe online community or like a larger community. Think about it, for like a health promotion campaign. Can you do something like that at your school? Can you potentially like post flyers about some type of health awareness about something? Or can you be able to, I don't know, educate folks in a virtual setting so that people can access it? There's so many different types of ways that you can demonstrate that you care about health. Again, going back to the problem, what is a problem that you think that your community or your location has right now? What is a problem that you feel like needs to be solved for? And do something about it. And even though you're not going to solve for it maybe completely, at least you're trying. And that's what's the point of these projects. And the last thing for business, launch a business venture, develop a financial budget for a stimulate business, and also lastly, plan a fundraising event. So imagine, let's say, like about some like animal shelter or some type of nonprofit or public service like place. It's possible that you can try to see if you can do a fundraising event for them through a virtual setting or through some type of unique, innovative way to be able to help them. So these are all examples that you could be doing right now for that level 3 project. And level 4, we have a whole thing about internships, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Victor. All right, number 3, we jump straight in. Again, people always say activities just have to be like things that you do at school, at home. This is kind of going to push that boundaries a little bit. I think this is one of those moves that everyone kind of needs, right? Everyone kind of needs, but everyone neglects it. And I think this is what makes students go from good to great. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So again, very underutilized skill that most students do not dedicate enough time to. So for me, is what sets two students apart. Because again, we're getting to that point where everyone is smart, right? Everyone is smart and everyone's doing a lot of things. So how do we, again, separate ourselves from every single person? The big thing that readers are trained to look for is to understand who the student is rather than just what they do, because everyone can do the same things, but it's down to who they are. That's going to be the big key here, right? So what we tell students to do is focus on developing the student as an individual is a huge component of the high school journey yourself. And for some of these things, you can actually share on your college apps as well too. So a double win here. So let's talk about it, right? So the biggest thing I tell families to make sure you do and learn and students is time management. This is probably the number one skill that most students are the worst at. I'm not going to call maybe some parents as well too. We have to get a little better at the time management, right? So again, have you noticed that there are some people who can achieve so much in the same amount of time, right? It's not because they have more time than you or students have more time than each other. It's how they spend their time. That's the biggest thing. So our number one recommendation, if you leave this call with one thing you can try, right? I say you got to try for a little bit, schedule everything, right? And I bet if I ask our students when they do their homework, students will tell me when I get home. And I am willing to bet that when parents let me know, yes, if this is true, that this is usually like 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning that this is happening. There you go. A few yeses, a few laughs as well, too. This is true as well. Does it have to be that way? I would argue no, right? The reality is this. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? Everything a student is working on should be scheduled out. If you don't believe me, again, do this for a week. Parents included. Try this out for 1 week and let me know if your life has not changed in that 1 week, right? Here are the step-by-step I recommend students try. Parents, feel free to try too for yourself as well too. Number 1, use a calendar, meaning if you have an iPhone and Apple computer, Apple Calendar works great. If you're not, Google Calendar works great. Tons of other softwares out there. Or if you're old school, you have a physical planner, get one of those out, right? First thing you do is you schedule in your non-negotiables. In the chat, I'm going to do a little poll for you guys, students and or parents, right? What is a non-negotiable? Give me an example of a non-negotiable that you have to do, right? A non-negotiable that you have. Again, parents can chime in on your life. Students can chime in on their life. What is an example of a non-negotiable that you have to have on your schedule? Boom. And eat. Love it. You did have to eat. Homework, right? I'm assuming as a student, right? As well too. GPA, studying, sleeping, attend school, sleep. Love it, right? Those who know me have CSI. This is the order I recommend. Number 1 is sleep. First thing you do before anything else, you block in your sleeping schedule. Your students, I'm calling you out. The reason you don't sleep a lot is you don't plan for it, right? You should get 8 hours. I know you don't, but plan for it. Again, it's one of those things. Again, can you, Coach Tony, I'm good with 5 hours. I'm like, sure, but you're not at maximum efficiency, right? Again, our brains, there's a really good book called Why We Sleep. If you guys are bored, go ahead and read that book, right? But the idea is if you don't sleep your full 8 hours, you're not operating at full capacity. So you're at 95% for a long time. Then they'll get to you. Then you're at 90%. Then you're at 85 and you're at 80. And you're never performing at your best. That's why you have some brain fog on exams. That's why it gets hard to study sometimes, right? Sleep 8 hours, see how life changes with just that alone. It's number one. So plan it out. When you're gonna sleep, when you're gonna wake up, right? Number two, you have to eat. We're humans, right? If you don't eat, you die. So definitely plan out eating time. Number three, routines. These like the when you wake up, what do you do? When you go to sleep, what do you do? The routine stuff. Students have school. Parents, you guys have work, right? Throw work in there as well too, right? Don't forget to factor commute time, right? So you have to get to school. We don't just teleport to school. People don't factor that in. There's commute times. Make sure that you factor for traffic. Is that too? Next one, studying homework, right? This is for students, right? You have homework, block it out, plan it out, right? The only reason you're doing homework at 2 in the morning is you never plan for it earlier in the day. So plan for that there. And you guys have activities, right? Plan for that as well too, right? When you have sports, when you have anything else, plan for that. And something I highly, highly recommend you guys do is something called me time, right? Again, me time is a really cool concept. It is dedicated time just for you, right? You don't have to, you be selfish with that hour. You use that hour or hour and a half to do whatever you want to do. Coach Tony's me time, I scroll TikTok, I watch Netflix. I'm also playing this new game on Discord called Farm Merge Valley. If anyone plays, add me, right? Is that too, right? So that's my me time. For an hour a day, I get to scroll aimlessly, I get to watch my TV shows, I get to play, be a little farmer on the game as well too, right? And that's it. That gets you that mental reset. When students work nonstop without a break, you are going to burn out. What's the fun in enjoying everything if you burn out along the way? No, have a little mental reset. Right? And people like work hard all week and take the weekend off. That's also very unhealthy. Parents, adults, right? Don't do that, right? Take that mental break, zone out, watch your favorite TV show. Again, everything here in moderation, right? Again, you plan it in this order because that's the schedule of when the biggest blocks are. If you notice that as well too, right? Is there. Number three, schedule in time-sensitive tasks. Meaning, if you have an exam coming up, you know, instead of studying 15 hours a week, I probably got to crank up to 20 hours a week because I have an exam on Friday, right? Let's say you're, again, a lot of people now there's tests required, again, not for the UCs. So if you're applying to UCs, they are test blind for the foreseeable future. So don't worry about that. But again, a lot of you guys are also applying to a lot of private schools, Stanford, MIT, Caltech, Ivies, right? They are now all back to test required. So you have to study for that. Block it into your schedule so you know when you're doing it. If you have a class project, block in that extra time. If you're taking the weekend off, parents, block that off. Don't let people talk to you that weekend, right? Block it off. Students, if you're going away for a tournament, you know that you're out the whole day, block that off. So you don't have to like juggle two things at once, right? Being aware of things that happen. This is the part that changes, right? On a weekly, you're not gonna study for exam every single week unless you have an exam every single. You gotta factor that in also. But the idea is this changes on a weekly basis. And something I do highly recommend you guys do, because again, if you're like me, you like to schedule to the point of stuff. There's something called buffer and catch up time. These are things you put in your schedule. I recommend like an hour per day that in case you don't finish, right? Hey, 3 hours for homework, but Mrs. Johnson gave me extra long homework today. That buffer can catch you up. Hey, I have this project I want to work on, right? I'm falling behind. Is there? Hey, or let's say you are done. Hey, I could use this hour to follow what Coach Victor just told me. Let me look for an opportunity. Let me go ahead and find other things. Or adults, parents, this is your nap. This is your extra nap time. And squeeze in an extra hour nap right there for you guys, right? Never have enough naps. That's going to be the big thing to get you, or you can add onto your me time. This, I believe, keeps our students sane so they can keep performing at a high level. Again, you don't want to get burnt out. If you are burnt out, you can't do anything else. So again, free yourself and then make sure you're happy there, right? One final reminder before we bump back to Coach Victor. He has a really very practical tip on internships for you guys. One final reminder, you have 168 hours in a week. All of you, we have over 200 people with us live. right? All of you have 168 hours in a week. It's how you spend it, right? So we have some students who are like doing incredible things. We have some students who are just doing things, right? So what's the difference is how they spend that time. And so I encourage you guys to look into your schedule. How are you using your schedule now, and how can you maximize it for your college admissions journey? And with that, Coach Victor, take it away, sir.
All right, so let's get into internships. So internships are really exciting, and I'm going to teach you about how is it that we can acquire one. Oh, so before you apply, though, before you go and into your internship search, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what do you want to learn? Because a lot of students who are applying to internships, they're applying randomly, and that does not get you into internships. You need to be intentional about what your learning experience is going to be. For example, what kind of skills do you want to learn? What kind of experiences do you want to learn? What do you want to get exposed to? These are the questions, like, especially for parents, right? Don't just throw your students into internships. You want to be intentional about what is it that we can do to maximize their learning. And to be intentional about it will will increase the amount of learning potential that is that's there. So let's go into a few strategies. The first strategy that many folks are doing right now is to apply, and then cross your fingers. I do have a list of, we're going to talk about some freebies at the very end in terms of what kind of internships you might be able to be applying to. But just know that for this particular strategy is that it can work for some of you, but how many people do you think that you'll be applying against? So in the chat, imagine there's an internship that's available to all US residents right now. How many people do folks think that people will be applying? Give me a number in the chat. 500, okay. 8 per. Well, 8 is on the lower side, I would say. 10,000. Okay, so in terms of the internship experiences, right, we know that it's going to be more than hundreds. It might be thousands of students that are applying to the same internships because they're the only ones available. Can you guess, like, there's probably a lot of other students who are Google searching high school internships and then trying to apply to the same ones. The whole point of College Admission Secrets is we want to work smarter, not harder. And so the ways that we have about this is 2 other strategies that we recommend. So strategy number 2 is to network and then apply. So network with the people who actually got into these internships. Network with the people who are actually hosting these internships. Because by being able to learn exactly how did people get in, you know what the criteria is about what did they do, what's the strategy to get in. And even as a bonus, if you can network with the people who are hosting the internship and they are the program managers of that particular internship experience, you can ask them straight up, how do you choose which interns to accept, right? By doing that, you understand the system, you understand the selection criteria. The whole point why you're here with College Admission Secrets is because we used to work in admissions, right? So do the same thing when you're applying to internships. Don't just apply randomly. Look for the people who are actually hosting them, talk to them, and say, hey, I'm a student at this particular school, and I'm very interested in your internship. I was wondering if we can chat for maybe 15 to 30 minutes with a few questions I had in mind, if that's okay with you. Here's some times I'm available, right? Just by doing that, you know, they might say no, they might not respond, but at least by reaching out, right? You already put yourself out there. They already see your name, right? And I bet you that if you were actually a student who was reaching out directly to those employers, your name will probably stand out even more just from reaching out because no one else is doing that. So when you're applying, make sure you network first so that you're intentional about who is it that you should be talking to, and then what is the specific criteria that you need to learn to get in. So going to the next thing is the strategy 3, which is networking and proposing an internship. This is actually what I did throughout college, and this is actually how I got my first job during high school, as a fun fact. So the way that a lot of jobs that not a lot of people know about is to get the jobs through networking. For example, even with working with Coach Tony here, right? I just like chatted with him, and then we eventually were able to work together through College Admission Secrets. He didn't necessarily need to put a job posting or anything of that sort. We just talked together and thought it would be a great idea to collaborate. So with that being said, right, by being able to propose an internship or propose a job, right, you can beat everybody because no one else is applying to a non-existent job application. So try to network and be able to propose that. So I'm going to walk you through the steps about how to actually do that, though, because it's easier said than done, right? So first step is that you need to determine the need. What is the need of the company or the employer? What is it that they're looking for, right? By understanding their problem, remember, similar to what we talked about projects, right? Projects need to solve for a problem. So what's the problem for this employer or this person that they're trying to solve for? Second is to develop your value. Do you have the skills and experiences required to be able to actually solve that problem? If you don't, then they're not going to hire you, right? But if you do, then they will invest into you because you have that particular value. So you need to understand, right, by talking to employers, what's their need, what are the experiences that are required, and so that you can develop your own skills and experience so that you can propose that internship for them. And step three is to increase your reach. By increasing your reach, that means that you are increasing your network to be able to get known by other people. By increasing your reach, right, the more people will know about you and the more possibility or opportunity that might be out there. And so know that just by talking to one person is not going to guarantee you an internship, right? Because they might have certain limitations. Maybe you're not a good fit. But overall, right, you need to talk to as many different people as you can. During my time when I was looking for internships, I would be messaging 10 to 20 employers per week just to be able to get an internship. And for myself, during that time, I was able to do that because I've talked to so many different people. And the last bit is to make the proposal. The proposal is essentially what is the problem that I could solve for you? And this is what I want to do for you in exchange for this monetary value. So when it comes to understanding like how can you get employed for internships or even a job, is that you have to know this equation: value times reach equals luck. Okay. There is a truth that luck is involved in terms of your opportunities, but there's still some ways to increase your luck, right? By putting yourself out there and increasing your value. So that's an important distinction to understand. So this is a graph, right? On the y-axis is value and the x-axis is reach. At the bottom left are typically students right now. Students that have low value, low reach, meaning that they don't have the skills or experiences and they don't know too many people. And so the question then becomes, how might you increase your value and reach to the top right so that you become attractive to be employed? So to do that, we have to understand the equation here. So your value is equal to benefits minus the cost. First, let's talk about the benefits. And when it comes to a value, right, something to quickly understand is that for any type of job out there, right, is that someone is willing to pay you to do something, right? Similar to think about like fast food workers, right? We need somebody to be able to put food together. And so we pay them in order to provide that value. Similarly, this can be applied to any internship experience as well. The types of value that you can provide are the specific hard skills or soft skills that you bring to the work. Hard skills are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. These are generally acquired through training or through classes, and this is specific to a particular job or task. So for those who have learned how to code, those who learn how to create TikTok videos, those who learn how to use Google Drive or Google Sheets, right? Those are all hard skills that can be applied to different places. The important part is how do you package that so that it shows that you can solve for that particular problem for the employer or the company that you're interested in. The second part is the soft skills, also known as people skills or interpersonal. These are generally acquired through experience over time, and they're easily transferable between jobs. This is essentially, are you easy to work with, right? If you're not a sociable person or you're a shy person, well, one of the things that you eventually got to do is that you got to break out of your shell. You got to be able to learn how to talk to people. For myself, I used to be a very shy person, but over time, after through a lot of practice, you can be able to get comfortable to talk to folks. You got to be willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. What that means is you got to learn how to push yourself to learn more and more, and that discomfort is what will help you learn more. Going to the next part is cost. Okay, when it comes to cost, it's very expensive and tiring to have an intern. The reason for that is because interns typically don't have that much experience to bring to the table, right? Why would I want to hire an intern if I have to watch them, right? For those who are always looking for internships and asking what are the best internships, well, maybe first ask yourself, will it cost me more to hire you as an intern, or will you actually benefit me more, right? If your costs outweigh the benefits, then of course I'm not going to hire you, right? Because I don't want to spend my additional time onto you. So what the costs actually entail, right, are the financial costs and the attention costs. The financial costs are all the typical things such as the wage, the kinds of time spent onto the technology equipment or the recruitment or any of the onboarding processes, those are all financial costs because they cost other people's time to be able to onboard you. The last part is the attention cost, which not a lot of people think about. Attention cost is thinking about the time that it takes for an employer to supervise that intern. Because by supervising that particular intern, that is costing not just their time, but the company's money because they're paying for their wage and your wage as well. So one of the things is that you need to be self-sufficient. This is where the soft skills come in. You have to be able to learn how to talk to people and learn how to navigate so that way that people don't have to spend so much time trying to walk you through all the steps about how to do your job. So going on to the next part is the reach. Remember, the employability equals value times reach. For reach, there is two parts to it: the number of connections and the influence. If you don't know the people with influence, then you won't be able to actually get yourself an internship opportunity of any sort. Because the thing is, it's about the people that you know who can create opportunities for you. If you are only like focused in your own high school or focused in your own local community and you're talking to the same people every time, your network is not going to expand. Your connections are going to be the same no matter what. So how can you actually get experience if you're not actually putting yourself out there and meeting new people? Because if you want to learn new skills, then who are you going to learn it from, right? So for reach, there is, when it comes to connections, there's two types of connections: the deep connection and the weak connection. Deep connections are those that are highly established, high quality, and share similar information and opportunities. These are the people actually directly tied to you. These are the people who are maybe your family members, your teachers, your students, your peers. These are the people that you already know right now who have a deep connection with you. And so because of that, they have a lot of knowledge on your strengths, your weaknesses, and maybe your career goals as well. The important thing, though, which is more important, which not a lot of people realize, is the weak connection. Weak connections can actually be very beneficial to helping you. They are high quantity of relationships, new information opportunities, and low commitment. The thing about weak connections is that they have a very small interaction with you, meaning that they maybe only talk to you for a few minutes at a certain time, and that's what they remember you for. Because of that, right, each time you talk to that person, you are developing your kind of image, your social image, and your personal branding to that potential employer. So by leveraging your weak connections, you can create a very positive impression so that in the future, you can come back to them and ask for their support. So you want to increase your weak connections as much as possible so that you can plant seeds into potential opportunities in the future. And going into reach, the influence. When it comes to influence, there's the high influential people and the low influential people. High influence is those with high credibility and trust in the workplace. They have deep understanding of the organization, and they might oversee the budgeting and personnel decisions. These are typically directors, managers, and senior employees. These are important because these are the people who might be in the best suited position to hire you, right? You want to network with as many different people, but once you find those with high influence, right, that is the possibility, that increases the probability or the likelihood that they can create something for you. While those who have low influence, they have low credibility or trust, they have little understanding of the organization and no budgetary or personal decision making. These low influence people, while it's great that you're making connections with them, they might not be able to support you. So you might not want to invest so much time with them. So that being said, you want to find high influential people, right, with weak connections, because that's going to be able to help you create those opportunities. And so one of the things I previewed is that there is this internship strategy guide that I created that we're going to make it more accessible for y'all to view. So more details on that in just a bit about how to get that.
Fantastic. I was taking notes myself. You guys like that guide? Drop a yes in the chat if you guys are wanting that guide that Coach Victor kind of compiled for you guys. Really quick, we got 10 minutes left. We do have a hard stop, so I'm going to speed through. We got like 20 slides left. I'm going to speed through this final section, which is personal projects. Yeah, see, we saved the best for last, right? The internship was amazing one, and we had like a co-main event right here, right, with the personal projects as well. Let's talk about it. So these are like passion projects. If you guys have heard the word passion project, these are basically it. However, I never like the word passion project because most students have no clue what they're passionate about anyway. So it ends up being, what should we do to look good for college admissions? And that is the worst thing that could ever happen for seniors who worked with us on their essays. You know exactly why, because again, when we ask you, why did you do that thing, and you have no reason, by default, a reader will think, oh, you did it to look good for college, which is, again, fine. However, there are students with a much deeper reason why they did that thing. And between looks good for college, deep reason usually very wins. So how do we kind of go about this? We call these personal projects. These are student initiated, student run, student directed. These are endeavors that a student pursues in their interest. They develop skills, achieve goals. It impacts their community. Sounds kind of familiar to the UC core values as well, too. That's exactly why we are really big on personal projects. So it's okay. Right in the chat, go ahead, drop a yes. Can I share step by step how to launch your personal project? Or if you're a parent, how your child can launch their personal project? Go ahead and drop a yes in the chat. If I can give you step-by-step instructions on how to do this. There you go. The yeses are popping through. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started. A little thumbs up as well to you on the action. There you go. So first off, you're going to identify your topic, right? What things do you enjoy? What things do you like? These are the guiding questions that we tend to have our students. What things do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your current interests? What do you care about? Because these are kind of the brainstorming for students, right? These different various topics. Then once we have the various topics, I ask the students, what do you like about each of these? What do you like? What do you enjoy about each of these things? And here's the key question. Why do you care about this topic? In other words, why is this topic personal to you, right? This doesn't have to be something that sounds super, super fancy, right? If you have a student, let's say I want to go ahead and write a research paper on enzyme 7-8. I have no clue what that is. I'm just made up, right? Enzyme 7-8. That's one, right? Versus number two, a student who goes ahead and creates a crocheting workshop. And you're like, between those two, which one sounds better? Again, that's just the topic itself. Let me give you some more context. This student just found something that looked good for college. They just did that, the enzyme 7-8. This crocheting one, growing up, this student was taken care of by their grandmother. Growing up, the grandmother sat them down and taught them how to crochet herself. The grandma kind of took care of the student growing up. Parents worked a lot. So growing up, the student took care of their grandparents and went to school, and they crocheted with her. Growing up, the grandma kind of had arthritis. She couldn't do it anymore. But the student still wanted to help. So the student created a custom set of crocheting kind of needles, right? That makes it more easier for older like folks to do it. And the student got to prototype it, and I got to do it, got to host this workshop at a bunch of other senior homes in her area. These are the two stories. Which one would you pick if this was the you or the admissions reader? So again, the topic is irrelevant. I don't really care what the topics are. For me, I care why. Why did you do that thing? That is the biggest thing here. Then once you identify the why, the question you ask is, how can you impact others with this? Right? For this student example we mentioned earlier, this student can impact other senior citizens, right? With this project, basically, who would be involved? They can only be at one place at one time. They got volunteers to do these things. Crocheting is a really growing thing. For the last 3 years, I see a lot of students crochet, right? So again, other people would like to help out and volunteer and do this with others as well, too, right? After you start having you create that 1.0 goal. We have them, what do you want to hit? Right? Where do you want to go? Like Coach Victor mentioned, a project has a beginning and an end. Here's the beautiful part about personal projects. What happens if you fail? What happens if you actually never make it to the 1.0 goal? Spoilers, it's okay. When it comes to the personal project, because you are doing it not from the what, but from the why, it's the journey of how you got from start to where you're at. You might not work out. Statistically, most things people try in the world fail, right? Statistically. So you not making it is part of success, right? Of you not making it there. But again, we're not doing it just to hit across the box there. We're doing it to show, because this is what we truly love, truly enjoy. Sometimes that passion helps a student get even further than they wanted to as well, okay? Because of that, once we get the foundation, we get help. We get people to help us build this out to make it as big as we can. I had a student, she had a chess club. She created online. She brought it to an online chess club. She had over 2,000 people do the chess club with a bunch of volunteers to help make it run. Again, is how cool is that? And how many people can say they've done stuff like that? That is an example of personal projects. So, question for you guys. Would you want help with your personal project? Or if you're a parent, would you want help with your child's personal project? So really quick, presenting the personal project incubator is something that we have for you guys today. It's basically a 3-week self-paced kind of program with weekly assignments, live feedback from myself directly. So if you guys are interested, I'll be working directly with the students. I forgot to write this. It's free. So this is a free one. Every week, I'll give the students feedback on what they're at, what they need to work on. And at the end, they'll get a certificate of completion. And we might have some awards for those with really creative ideas and really see who made the furthest progress along the way as well, too. Okay. If you guys are interested in that, the October cohort, again, is free. Deadline to just sign up is going to be the 27th. Stick around. Next minute or so, I'll give you guys the link to get started with that. Okay. So before we probably don't have time for Q&A, so if you guys want to drop the questions, Coach Victor and I can kind of answer it in the Facebook group afterwards. But really quick ask if you guys, was that good training? Let me know, drop a yes in the chat if that was a good training. You guys learned something in this training. It was good. You guys liked it. Drop a yes in the chat. Someone asked, there you go, boom, little hearts right there, makes me happy as well. So again, if you guys are interested, you guys do want to like have the next step. The next step is booking a free assessment with our team. You get to work with talk to one of our amazing advisor, Coach Steffi, Coach Tu, or the incredible Coach Victor. Again, as you can see why Coach Victor is one of our top advisors. Really, really amazing guy, really easy to talk to, and also a wealth of knowledge himself. On this call, it's a quick 15-minute chat. We'll just ask a few questions, learn about you guys, and give you some recommendations. And that's pretty much it. We're not going to sell you anything on this call, so I told them they can't sell anything either. So you can't buy anything on this call. At the end of the call, 2 things happen. If you're just happy, we leave as friends. Number 2, if you're ready and you want to work with us, you let our team know. They'll schedule a second call with you and they'll like talk about our programs. If you guys are interested in working with us, our coaching programs start at $4,000 and there's a lifetime amount, meaning whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, same price. We don't charge different prices. So the sooner you start, the better. I know like we have some 7th or 8th graders kind of on the fence as well too. You guys get same price all the way to senior year. So that's the biggest thing there. So if you guys are interested in booking the assessment, text the word book to 415-938-8721. Like Coach Victor shared earlier, he has a free internship guide. It's incredible. I saw it. Tons of basically direct links. Text the word guide, same number, 415-938-8721. And if you guys want to join our personal project incubator, text PPI to 415-938-8721. We'll go ahead and leave it on this page. If you guys can take a screenshot, share it as well. I can drop the number in the chat if that's easier for you guys as well too. 418-938-8721. If you want to book a 15-minute assessment, text the word book. If you want the Coach Victor's guide, text the word guide. By the way, if you want to talk to Coach Victor on your assessment, text book Victor as well too. Well, our team will coordinate on the back end. They'll connect you with him there. If you want to do guide, you can do guide. And if you want to join the PPI, it is free for October 2024. Text PPI there as well. Okay. Go ahead, text, screenshot, do whatever you guys need to do. We will be closing this room down like 10 seconds because we do have, me and Coach Victor both have calls at 7, more coaching calls for us. But yeah, it's a pleasure. Saw a lot of the things, people loved it as well. So yeah, pleasure. Replay will be out within 48, 72 hours. I'll make a post in our group. Go ahead, just comment on there. Our team will send it over when it is ready. Okay, that's pretty much it. Again, if you want to book, text book, text guide, text PPI. It's been a pleasure. I'll chat with you guys soon. If you guys like Coach Victor, let me know so we can bring him back for another training. If not, I will ban him from future trainings as well too. But yeah, you guys have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you next week. Coach Art is taking over. He has a really amazing training for you guys next week. Chat soon. See you guys next week. Bye, everyone.